Same medicine, higher dosage. That was my first gut feeling when I read the news. And as always, I've shared it in my Telegram group. If you are new to it, do join it. We have more than 1,000 members already. I guess the answer really depends on who the patient really is. And how I read this whole intention is that all it needs is just a slight dampening of demand, and that will do to slow the freight train that is rising property prices. Take note again, government has not changed anything on buying the first residential property. There is still 0% ABSD. And that's because maybe in February, just a couple of months ago, government has already increased the buyer's stamp duty for bigger size properties. So that was meant to dampen the enthusiasm over there. So looking back at the charts again, it's quite obvious that ABSD is raised for second and third residential property, slight increments in amounts for Singapore citizens and PRs. But I used to think that increasing the second and third property percentage doesn't really make such a big difference, correct? That's until I heard that ABSD rate increment will affect 10% of residential transactions. And if foreigners account to 7% of non-landed home buyers in first quarter, that means that 3 to 5% of all transactions are those buying second and third property onwards. Great, then in that case, tax them more. Why in the world would someone buy property with such a hefty ABSD? That's not how I intend to build wealth, but maybe they really have excess money to stash away. Then my answer usually is, why not just buy a bigger one in one person's name rather than owning multiple? It's quite obvious that some people who are buying multiple properties have gotten used to this boiling frog theory, whereby previously it was 7% ABSD, that's what I paid, and then it became 12%, 15%, 17%, and right now today in April 2023, 20%. So used to paying ABSD already. But back to the important point that we should discuss about. This medicine is quite obviously targeted at foreigners. No need for boiling frog theory over there. It's quite obvious government wants to weed them out. Mentioned over here, foreign buyers are back in force in January, picking up 57 units, which is a 58% jump from the previous year. That's quite possibly why Minister Desmond Lee has mentioned specifically that this round of ABSD is preemptively to dampen property investment demand. Take note again, ABSD to weed out foreigners has been pretty effective. If we see the percentage of foreigners buying Singapore properties, you would see that it's been on a downward trend since 2013 when ABSD was first introduced. And right now, government is changing the ABSD for foreigners from 30% to 60%. This massive 30% jump, so it's a huge dosage over there. The next leading question is, who are these foreign buyers, correct? My best guess, first segment, Chinese whales. We can term it whales because they come with big loaded cash amounts, correct? In 2022, foreign Chinese buyers bought 241 non-landed private homes in Singapore. We can guess some of them could be in Sentosa. And Chinese buyers make up about 26% of total foreigner transaction. In fact, 2022 seemed to be one of the lowest years of Chinese buyers really. So we can guess that in 2023, mainland Chinese buyers will be coming back with force. Take note again, for the past decade, they have been the biggest group of foreign buyers over here. But I've also found a second segment of foreign buyers. And before I get there, let me smash the like button, especially if you agree with some of the points raised, because this is going to shock you. Who are they? Let me play the clip for you to hear for yourself.
There was a significant increase in purchases from Taiwan. So that Taiwan should make up all of a sudden one of the top 10 group of buyers going into number 6 itself. And this year, we're also seeing more Taiwanese actually coming over.
Surprise, surprise, Taiwanese coming into Singapore, jumping from number 10 to number 6. And as you all can guess, high net worth Taiwanese definitely understand that there's certain geopolitical risk over there, whether there's war or if Taiwan eventually merges with China and it becomes a communist system. But I guess also, right now in Australia, in particular Sydney and Melbourne, they have experienced year-on-year decline in property prices. So more often than not, we like to buy things where we have more confidence. And Singapore properties have still been rising in prices. It's much easier to pull the trigger despite higher taxes. But right now, hopefully 60% weeds them off the market. Let me know again your thoughts and your questions in the comment sections below. And I'd like to round the discussion by sharing with you my deeper thoughts. Looking firstly at some of market reaction, we can see that property developers have sold down yet again, correct? City Development has lost 5%, UOL has lost 4%, PropNext has lost 6%. I do think that foreigners make up a significant amount of luxury home sales, and maybe that segment is going to get stuck for a while. For many of you listening in who may not be impacted by this recent change, I'd like to share with you that I see this increment as just a slight tweak in terms of the dosage. A more severe cooling measure would definitely include clamping down TDSR, total debt servicing ratio, and the LTV ratio, which is how much we can borrow when we buy a home. So again, government is not making any more adjustments for buying a first home. And maybe they're also thinking what I'm thinking. High interest rate itself will have its toll on property market sentiment sooner or later. That is a key reason why I've sold away my HDB flat and I'm bearish on Singapore properties. If you haven't seen that sharing, check them out over here. Or if you have already, let me share with you this previous tutorial, what I realized about this 99-to-1 ABSD loophole. Check out either of these videos and thank you again for listening in. With that, I'm from here and see you there. Take care as always. Goodbye.